All right, let's move on here. Brentford and Chelsea, it was a 0-0 draw. Stevie, I won't bore you with it, aside from the fact that, we talked about this before in the show. I know that when our friend Mark Donaldson was here, I mentioned, and I know that you have as well. I've been a bit worried about Chelsea in the last few months, regardless of results. They're not really clicking in the same way that they did before Christmas. Today, Enzo Maresca decided to not start Cole Palmer and Neto, Cucurella. And Chelsea fans were getting distraught over the course of this game. The point was given, but Man City, if they beat Manchester United, they overtake them in fourth. Give me your thoughts over Chelsea here, specifically in the last few seasons. Can they get a Champions League spot? How do you see this situation right now?
Well, they won't get a Champions League spot if they're leaving some of their best players out in the Premier League. I mean, we're in the most important part of the season, and in my opinion, what you do leading up to this part of the season is you get your team and your squad, and certainly your best 11, in a position where you see the season out. And Chelsea right now are banging on the door for Champions League through the Premier League, and so they have to make sure that has to be the priority. But it doesn't look like it's the priority if you're not playing your top player, regardless of whether he's in form or not. You don't leave him on the bench. He's not going to get in any better form if he's sitting in his backside. You leave Cucurella out as well. I mean, why are you not playing your best team at this stage of the season? That would be my question. And I would also say, why have your team lost the desire and the energy and the willingness and the spark? I mean, Chelsea, since Christmas, have just been slowly running out. They look as though somebody's sucking the energy out of them every time they go on the field. And to me, that's down to the manager. And it's down to the manager. He's either training them too hard and they don't have legs for the game, or he's not motivating them properly. Because too many times I've seen recently a Chelsea side taking the field that doesn't look as though it's been wound up. Doesn't look as though the manager has been motivating them. They just don't look as though they want to play. When they were at their best just before Christmas. Again, I'm talking about Iwobi smiling during the film. All the Chelsea players had a big smile on their face. They're all running around, they're all chasing, they're all closing down, they're scoring goals. I mean, it was just fun. Right now, there's nothing fun about Chelsea.
Yeah, and even when they win, it's not fun. That win over Leicester City wasn't that good. The win over Tottenham wasn't that great, and it's a bit scary because, we're not talking about a Chelsea side who are also playing the Europa League or the Champions League. Okay, they're playing, in the Conference League, but they're putting a completely new squad for that. There's no excuse here, so it's very worrying, I think. And today, specifically, Chelsea fans in the stands at Brentford were literally screaming for, let's be more creative, let's attack. And to your point, without Cole Palmer, without Neto, Cucurella, even Nico Jackson, who may not necessarily be the most consistent striker, he's still getting goals. He didn't start. So it's a very worrying thing, I think, in that situation. But right now, they're in a Champions League spot. Man City can overtake fourth with a win over Manchester United. We'll see about that. But there you have it. Brentford 0, Chelsea 0. All right. Finally, everybody, Tottenham get a victory, 3-1 victory over Southampton, who, Stevie, Nicol, become, unsurprisingly, the first club to suffer relegation. 10 points so far. They are at this moment statistically on course on becoming the worst Premier League. And also, as my producer Sam says, quickest relegation in history with 7 matches left to play. But with 10 points, Stevie, they're right now on course on being statistically the worst team in the Premier League. Derby County had 11 in 2007, 2008. They have 10. So Tottenham win. Southampton face the drop. No shocking statement there, Stevie, Nicol.
Hey, let's be honest. I think the only reason most of us watched this game or kept an eye on it was to see if Tottenham could really be as bad as Southampton. I mean, that's the truth. Because we all figured Tottenham would win, but we wanted to see whether they could mess it up. And actually, for a little spell,
Yeah.
For a little spell, there was a possibility they could. Until they got that third goal with a penalty, my goodness, everybody was biting their nails. But yeah, Southampton are they're poor, and I actually feel bad for the players. You know, at the end of the day, the squad they came into the Premier League with wasn't good enough, and they did not spend money on upgrading. Not in every position, but you need to strengthen, and they didn't do it. And it shouldn't be a surprise to anybody that they're going to get relegated. And for the players, it is so disheartening. You know, when you figure out pretty early, as a group, we're just not good enough for this league, and that's tough. It's a long season, and it shows in the performances. It's just really hard on the players. They're not good enough, and as I said, I don't think you can blame the players. You got to blame the ambition of Southampton. They clearly weren't ready to come into the Premier League. They clearly weren't ready or willing to spend money to stay in the Premier League. And I would guess that for Southampton, certainly the board and the owners, it isn't a surprise to them that they're going down.
Yeah, and it's going to be tough to come back up because the championship, especially those that are, you know, I'm not even including about the ones that maybe are coming up next season, but the championship is getting more competitive in terms of, you know, trying to get those automatic places. And it seems, Stevie, that Southampton, Ipswich Town, obviously losing to Wolves, Leicester City, who play Newcastle. It seems that the three that came up are going to go back down. Would you agree or disagree? I feel like there's never been, I mean, obviously we have to look at records and everything, but in memory, I feel like the gap between those coming to the Premier League has never been that wide.
Yeah, no, I would definitely agree with that. Yeah, you know, neither of the three teams that came up really spent any money, and that's the bottom line. That's that. You know, to survive in the Premier League, you need to spend money on better players,
and wisely, right? Wisely, yeah.
Well, I mean, it really shouldn't. It shouldn't come as a surprise. Really, you know, the proof's always been in the pudding. And for anybody else who's going to come up from the championship this year, just look at what's happened to the three teams that came up last year. They didn't speculate, and they go straight back down. And it's not a surprise, you know. The three that are going down, we've been talking about the three going down pretty early on in the Premier League season. It was pretty obvious. The only team that was clinging on to try to go down was Wolves for a long time, but they obviously have gotten away from there. And so, yeah, it's not a surprise. It's about the money. It really is about the money. And if you're not willing to spend it, then you're only going one place if you do come up, and that's back from where you came.
Yep. I mean, I agree with that. And I also think sometimes it's about, you know, some of these managers that come into it, Southampton specifically, Ipswich a little bit with Ryan McKenna, and obviously the inconsistencies with Leicester City and everything with management switch. It's also about these teams come in with these managers, with these grandiose ideas of how they want to play. But this is the Premier League. This is not the Championship. There's a vast difference. And if you try and play quote unquote pretty football, aesthetics, tiki-taka, whatever it is, and you just don't focus primarily on just getting the job done, you're going to go down. I mean, look what happened with Vincent Kompany and Burnley as well. Obviously, we like his style, but that doesn't mean it's going to help you stay in the Premier League, right? I mean, there's two things there.
I don't think I'm wrong in saying that if I'm a fan of whatever team I support and they come in the Premier League or any league, wherever it may be, I absolutely only want them to win. Do you think I really care if they look like Brazil?
Exactly.
As long as they win. That's what we want. We want to win. Any fan, I think, will take not being particularly great to watch if they're winning games. So the managers that come in and say, we're going to do it this way, and my philosophy, how about your philosophy is, how do I win a game of football? I'll settle for that. As a fan, I'll settle for my manager saying, right, how do we win this game? And then we go and do it. And I don't care how good or how bad it looks.
Yeah. Playing football is simple. Playing simple football is much harder. So there's one for you there. But hey, At least Liverpool can focus on something else with the hope of 11 more points. 11 more points, Stevie Nicol, and Liverpool Football Club will win the Premier League. Champions League football, by the way, returns this week. Lots of action, ESPN FC Live. And by the way, we have another show for you later. Mark Donaldson will replace me. Stevie will join him after the Manchester derby as Manchester United play Manchester City. Join them later on. For now, LME, Stevie Nicol, have a wonderful rest of your day, but we'll see you later on as well. Take care and have a good Sunday. Bye-bye.